to do is such that if the age is not up to, is it 18 now, that's, you should not allow the user to visit that page. That's the assignment given. Is it this? Oh no, check the length of the character of the password. If it's 8 and above, right, it should tell you okay, it's allowed. If it's less than 8, it should echo password is too short. So we have this. We are submitting the content of this form to taye.php. So we are getting the age. We can now say if password string length. This string length tells you the number of characters in a string. So $password. If the number of characters in this string password, if it's less than 8, then you can echo password is too short. Else echo good password. So I think this is the one for the last class. Let's end this part. Then we submit the form again. Password is too short. And now, if I use longer password, good password. Any question on that? Okay. What if we have this? Now, good password, but there's a problem. This is not a good password. I mean, I just put empty space. Like, I press my space bar for many times. I just press space bar many times. And it's saying it's good password. So, let's solve that problem together. Most times when you are getting strings from your user, it's always advisable that you trim it. You trim it meaning that you remove the. Okay, I think someone is raising up his hand. Okay, trim. Yes, trim. T-R-I-M. Thank you, trim. So when you're getting strings from your user, it's always advisable that you trim it. Being that sometimes the user may put extra spaces before or after some texts. Let me give you an example. Maybe instead of typing Peter, I may put Peter like this and like this. If I send it to the backend, it will send all of this, both these spaces before and these spaces after. All of them will be sent together to the backend. And when you save it in database, you are just saving unnecessary spaces in your database, right? So you want to trim it so that what if it has trailing spaces, like spaces before or spaces after that text, all of those spaces will be removed. So you want to trim each text. So you can trim this. Trim. Does this remove the extra spaces? Trim. Remove the extra spaces. Do the same for this. Trim. Trim. This. So this will remove all the spaces before and spaces after. Let's look at this together. Now, password is too short. Despite the fact that this is long, but because it has been trimmed, and of course, all the spaces before and after, there's nothing there, it's just space bar, press space bar many times. Right. So all of them will be removed because it's just be seen as it will be seen as white spaces, and all the white spaces before and after will be removed. And that's why you can see password is too short. Any questions so far? Okay, next is this. You may also want to check if all of this information that we're getting from users, there'll be a time whereby we'll save it in database. I think in our next class we're going to look at database. We save it in database. So there'll be a time whereby we're going to save it in the database. Right. Now, you don't want users to be able to save like empty first name. That is, the user should fill that first name. If I can save, let's say we are saving here. Save to database. Yeah. So let's say we are the code to save to database around this place. So what if the user now types something like this as the first name? And you don't want to save an empty text in your database. So you can check. You can say if is empty dollar first name. That is if the user refuses to fill the first name or it is empty. Empty includes empty string. Empty includes if the user enters 0 is empty. If the user enters false is empty. So if it's empty, then you can now echo this. Echo first name cannot be empty. You can do the same for the rest. So. Password. Any questions so far? So if I fill this now, first name cannot be empty, then password cannot be empty, password is too short. So the reason is because this is empty and also this is just white spaces. Question before we move forward? Okay, in answers of questions, let's move forward. A lot of times, before you try to do this, because look at this here. I can use to get, this is going to throw an error because it cannot get this. You can't use post since the request here, the method here is get. So at this point now, if you try to use post, like we looked at in our last class, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have this this is bad. This is a bad user experience. So what I want to do is this. I want to say that before you try to run all of this code, first check that the request method is post. First check the request method. See if it is post. If it is post, then you can now continue to run the rest. So what you can do here is that there is, just like you have this $_posts, which is an inbuilt variable, and $_get, which is an inbuilt variable. We also have an inbuilt variable called $_server. It holds information about the server, which includes the requests. In fact, I think it also includes the IP address. Also, it contains a lot of things. Let's display the server before we move forward. If I say var_var_dump is mainly used to debug. We use it when you're trying to debug in PHP. You want to see what you have inside this server so that you see the things that are present inside this special variable. So I'll go back, submit. These are the things inside of it. It contains a lot of information. So part of it is we have something here called request method. Request. This is a request method. So the request method here is get. The request method here is get. So we want to check the request method if it is get or if it is post. If it is post, then, or if it is not post, if the request method is not post, then don't do all of this for us. So we can say, let's comment all of these parts. So we can say if dollar underscore server, let me see if this is charging. Okay, dollar underscore server request underscore method, if it's equal to post. So if someone is about to join, let me quickly add this person in. So, okay, let's continue. If the request method is post, that is when you should try to do all of this. So, if you check the request method, if you see if it is post, then you should do all of it. If it's not post, you can have your else echo invalid requests method. So now, if we try to submit the same form again, what you will say is invalid request method. Any questions so far? Please, who can tell us what we've done so far tonight? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Please, who can tell us what we've done so far?
We did. The server.
Okay, what is server?
Yes. Now, if we input invalid request, it's if server that dollar underscore server, then the get post a request or is it get or post?
Request method. The request method.
The request method. Okay, the request method. So once the request method there is maybe error there.
Please. Okay, thank you so much. You can attend to the baby. You can attend to the baby. Thank you. Please, who else can help us while she attends to her baby? Alabi Yusuf, I think you started the class with us. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, except that I just joined when we were doing the invalid. We were just displaying the invalid request.
Okay, alright, thank you. Okay, let's proceed. We looked at using this server variable, and I said it contains a lot of subparties in it, and one of them is the request method, and we check the request method. Now, let's do a little task on this before we, like, on what we've done so far. We've done if, let's look at else if. Then once we look at else if, we do a small task on else if, then we'll proceed again. I want us to do little task, then move forward, little task, then move forward. There's a file, we can call it as if dot PHP. Else if that's PHP. Now we've done if else. That is, we can have a variable. We can say if num, let's say greater than 4, echo hello, else echo hi. So this allows us to do one out of two options. Either if this condition is true, it will do this. If this condition is not true, it will do the else. But sometimes you want to do one part out of multiple conditions. That is, you have many options, and out of the many options, you only want to do one part of them. That is where the else if comes in. So let's say, I can say, imagine you have 3 sets of people in a gathering. You have a section for kids. Maybe that can be gaming section, right? Maybe game. Then you have a section for, let's say, teen. That can be gist section. And you have a section for, let's say, adult. That can be business section. So game session, gist session, then business session. So what you're going to do is that you ask the person, what is your age? If the person's age falls below 13, that means you can say, oh, go to the game session. If the person's age falls between, let's say, 13 to 19, you can say, go to the gist session. Or the person's age is more than 19, like 19 and above, 20 and above, you can say, go to the business session. So what you're just doing is that you want to do one out of multiple options, and that is where else if comes in. So let's look at it together. You can say age. For now, we'll just use a random age. If age, if it is lesser than 13, echo go to the gaming session, or gaming class, something like this. So else if age is less than 20, echo go to gist class, else let's do it like this. If else echo go to business class. So let's see how this works. In else if like this, it will only do one out of these 3, not 2. You see that if this condition is true, it will do this part. If this condition is not true, then that's when it will check this. It is when this condition is not true that it will check this. So if this condition is true, then it will do this. It is when this condition is not true that it will go to the final else. So age is 10. Is 10 lesser than 13? Yes, 10 is lesser than 13. So it's going to go to the gaming class. Now, 10 is also lesser than 20. But it's not going to do this. Because it is only when this condition is not true that it will come here. Do we understand it? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, all right. Now, this else will only be applied if none of the conditions is true. If none of them is true, then it will come to this final else. So, if the user is, let's say, 30 years, this will be false because 30 is not lesser than 13. 30 is not lesser than 20. Then it will come to this final else. Now, your else if can be longer than this. You can have a lot of else if in between. You can have another else if. And say if age is lesser than, let's say, 40, echo go to business class. I want to make it a bit. Then if it is more than 40, we can say go to health. Well, everybody should look after his or her health, right? But the idea behind this is that if the age is between, let's say, 20 to 40, go to business class. If it's more than 40, no, focus on health, go to health class. So the health if can be longer, like you can still have another else if. But this else should be at the end. That's in case you want to add a final else. You cannot add else in between like this. You cannot add this here. This return else means in case none of them is true, then do this final else. If none of the conditions earlier that you've seen earlier, if none of them is true, then run this else. So the else will be at the end. Then you can have as many else if as possible based on what you want to. Any questions so far? So let's get it from the user, this age. Instead of putting this age here, let's get it from the user. You can say, just get else.html. I have my form. I want us to get used to this from submitting, from submission to the backend. Method, post. Now, you have label. Age, input, type. Since it's age, let's make it to the type number. Then input type submit. So we want to link this label with this input. So you can say for age. Let's put this here. ID will be H. Then we're adding the name so that I can get it at the backend. H. So value submit H. So where are we submitting it to? Action save.php. So we have this label. This is what the user can see. Then the user will type in text inside this place. When the user clicks here, the content will be sent to this else.php. Any questions so far? Let's run it on the browser and see if everything is fine. So here's the form. So I can type age here. Then when I submit it, I'm going to get it at the back end. So we come here, we get it. If $_server request method is equal to post. Please, all of these things, please don't be too lazy to add them to your code when you work. Sometimes you may feel like you say must with or without adding them, your code will still run fine. Then why should I add them? Please take the time to do that. Our backend is where the main security of the application is. As we proceed in the course of the training, you see why adding all of these things make your application more secured. Please, as simple as they are, like these little things, please don't joke with backend safety, like trying to validate all necessary things. Anything that needs to be validated should be validated. This is where the security of the application lies on. And of course your database. So okay, so let's get the H. I can say $H equals to $_post H. So when I submit this form from this place, it goes to else.php. If you check the request method, if it's equal to post, then that's when it will run all of this. To pull out the h, because we named this h, to pull out the h, save it in variable h, then to check all of these conditions to know what to display to the user. Let's run it on the browser. So if it is this, go to gaming class. If it is 20, go to business class. Okay. Oh, less than 20. Yeah, comments. Okay. What if it is 45? Go to health class. Any question?
So let me ask this quick question. Is it because the method is a post? That's why for the first line, we do that if the request method is equal to post.
Exactly, yes. It's because this here is posts. Yes.
But if it gets
It will
on the server side, this you do get.
Yes, exactly. If this is get, this will also be gets. Exactly. And of course, this will now be $_ this will no longer be posts.
Oh, okay.
This will be like this. Any other question? Okay, let's do one more task on this topic. Then I give us an assignment to work on. In next class, we should connect to database. Then we're going to look at password hashing. How you hash your password. You don't save password as raw text in your database. You need to hash it before saving it. So we look at all of them together. But again, if else is very, very, very important part of any programming language that you are looking at. Next is, let's do a calculator, meaning calculator. So the user will select what he or she wants to do. Is it addition? Is it subtraction? Is it multiplication? Is it division? So whatever the user selects, whatever the user selects, you display the result based on that. Do you get the task?
Yes.
Alright. So we come here, we can create a file. We can call it calculator.html. Calculator.html. So you have our form. So in our form, maybe you want the user to type two numbers. The first number you want and the second number. Then what do you want to do with them? So we can have input, let's say method, post, but you can use get, whichever one you're more comfortable with. I think you'll be using post. We are not really dealing with any sensitive data here, so let's use get here in this case. Type number label first number ID first name. So this will be for first name. Oops. First name. So then name, I can just call it first. This name is what the backend will use to access this input. Next is, you want the user to enter what he or she wants to do. Is it addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? So we can use a select tag for that. Option plus division. Then the second one. So let's check it on the browser and see it for now. This will be second number now. Second. Okay. So we go to calculator.html on the browser and look at the results together. Here's a calculator. So the user will enter a number, let's say 6 plus 5. Then you should have a submit button here. If I want to do minus, I can select minus, then I'll click on this to send it to the backend. The backend will evaluate it and send back the response. So submit. Value, calculate. Good. So these are the type of value, the first number. Now this plus, minus, division, and the likes. At the moment, look at this URL here. Now this plus has been, how do I explain it? Firstly, this select does not have a name. Remember, please you can tell me the essence of the name tag, name attributes. I think we mentioned that in the last class. You can tell me the work of the name attributes.
The name attributes. I think that's what you use at the server side, which is the PHP.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We use that to fetch it. So the server is unable to know what the user selects here. Instead, you can add a name attributes. You can say operator. So whatever the user picks here becomes operator. If the user selects plus, operator becomes plus. If the user selects minus, operator becomes minus. So that's the first. And I do this again. I want us to talk about something. Now you can say I picked plus, but what you can see here is percentage 2b. What happens is that these special characters, plus, minus, multiplication, division, they are being they are not being sent as these characters the way they are. Like they are being converted to some text, to some special text. They are being converted. It's not, this plus is not being sent as plus. This minus is not being sent as minus. Multiplication is not being sent as multiplication. Division is not being sent as division. Right. If it is, this percentage 2b is for plus. If I select minus, just check this here. You can see this is okay. Minus is even going. Let's look at multiplication equals to multiply and this coming. Only plus is failing. Yeah, plus is failing. So oftentimes you don't want to send special characters like this, especially if you are using get. You don't want to send special characters like this. What you can do is this: you can add a value attribute. Most times, you want to add a value attribute. The value attribute is what if the user selects plus, whatever you type here is what the page will send to the backend. If I put add here, that means if the user select this add is what the user will send to the backend as the value of operator. If I had another value attribute and I put minus, so this minus is what the user will send as the value of operator when what the page will send as the value of operator when the user selects this. Do you understand? You don't want to send this multiplication, this times minus plus division. You don't want to. So that's why we're adding this text so that we'll be able to send text instead. Another reason why this is helpful, why this is good, is that sometimes the text here might be too long. The text that you are showing to the user. This plus is what the user will see. But add is what will be sent to the back end. This minus is what the user will see. Like this hyphen, this hyphen is what the user will see. But this text minus is what will be sent to the back end. This asterisk sign is what the user will see. And whatever you put here is what the back end sees instead. So sometimes what you want to show to the user may be so long, right? So you want to send something else to the backend so as to depict that long text. Sometimes that's what you do. So do you understand my explanation?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do this now. So you can see add is being sent to the backend. So let's get it at the backend at the server side. Now our calculator, have I created it? Okay, I've not created it. Let's come here and create the calculator. That's PHP. So if $_server is equal to get, do this as echo invalid equals method. So we come here, action calculator.php. So you want to get the first number, $first number, let's call it first number. First number $_get, because the request method is get. I think we named it first. We are using first because this is first. Then $operator equals to $_get. So you get this name operator. Then $second number equals to $_get second. So you can now say if operator if is equal to add, you can add the two numbers together. You can say $results equals to first number plus $second number equal result. So if the value of this operator is add, that is, add is the value that is being sent to the backend when the user selects plus. Do you get it?
Yes.
Alright. So I just copy, paste, change it to else if it is minus, this will be minus, copy, paste, this is now in case it's none of them, okay, divide. Well, in case it's none of them, else echo none of them. You may ask that, how is that even possible for it not to be none of them? But if it is add, it's going to do this part. If it is minus, it's going to do this part. If it is multiply, I think we got multiply, yes. If it is multiply, it will do this part. If it is divide, it will do this part. And we see the result together. And if it's not any of them, it's going to display none of them. So let's run it on the browser and see things together. So someone wants to join the class. You are welcome. So Let's say 9. Why is it not giving me 9? Is that 7? Okay, we have 7. Okay, 13. Okay, let's put minus. Have minus 5. Let's change this to 3. Multiply by, let's say, 8. We have this 24. So in case it's none of them, you can come here and just add anything. None of them. So if I go to that URL and I added things, right, and it's not among them, then it will be none of them. Any questions so far? Do you understand what I just did?
Yes, I understand it.
Assignment. You're going to have an HTML page. On that page, there will be just one input, and the second will be a submit button. So in that input, the user will enter the day of the week. Maybe I can enter 1 to stand for Sunday, 2 to stand for Monday, 3 to stand for Tuesday, like that. Then 7 to stand for Saturday, 1 for Sundays, to 7, which is Saturday. So I will enter a number. If I enter 1 and I submit it, it will display Sunday. If I enter 2 and I submit it, it will display Monday. If I enter 3 and I submit it, it will display Tuesday, on and on like that. If I enter 7 and I submit it, it will display Saturday. Now, if I enter 10 and I submit it, it will display invalid number. Invalid number. Do you understand it? Do you get it?
Yes, I get it.
Please trim your text. Trim those texts. This one, let's even trim this together. Trim. When you're getting input from the user, let's trim them.
Should we use that or post request?
You can use anyone you are more comfortable with. Since you are not sending sensitive data, you can use anyone.
But if we are sending sensitive data, if we are dealing with password with database, we have to use post.
Yes, if you are dealing with password, it must be post.
Why are we using the trim and then the string? Any reason?
Trim is to remove extra spaces before and after the text.
Okay. But does the string convert the whatever value into a string?
No, I didn't type this string. It is this code editor itself that knows that string takes a string. That's why it puts string here.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Any other question? Okay, in answers of question, please this time around I want more persons to do my assignments. I want more. On the last assignment, I only got 2 responses. Thank you, Sherifat. Thank you. I only got 2 responses from my assignment.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The other person that did the assignment, I think he just joined us for this Aptech. I don't think he's there. Aptech is the other person that did the assignment. Please, I want us to pay attention to this assignment. This is where you really learn. If I'm teaching you like this, you will think you are getting it. Or I would say you are getting it, but not really. Right? You're only getting part of it. It is when you try to do it and you run into bugs. We are doing this simple part. It's this simple now. As time goes on, things get complex, right? It gets complex. And if you are not used to this simple one, if you are not doing it right at this stage, when you get to those complex ones, you will have problems with them. we start with, you may think that, oh, this is simple, something I can do. In fact, that is the reason why you should do it. Like, if it's something you can do, then why not just do it, please? Practice it. That is when I know that you are getting this. Also, please, our next class will not be next week Friday. It will be upper week Friday. I'm sorry, I will not be available next week Friday. But meeting upper week Friday. Thank you so much. Have a lovely night rest. Thank you.